Between 2003 and 2005, USC wasn't just a college team. With 2 national titles and a 34-game winning streak, they were Los Angeles' de facto NFL franchise. They owned the second largest media market in the country because the league had abandoned it. But look at the valuation today. After a 7-6 finish in 2024 and a defense that crumbled on national television, that monopoly is gone. This isn't just a coaching slump, it's a full-scale corporate crisis. Lincoln Riley isn't just coaching football anymore. He's attempting a $500 million restructuring of a brand that forgot it had competition. To understand the gamble, we have to audit the collapse. For decades, USC operated with a distinct unfair advantage: market isolation. While Alabama and Ohio State had to fight for regional dominance, USC held a sports monopoly in Los Angeles. There were no Rams, there were no Chargers. If you wanted high-level football in Southern California, you bought a ticket to the Coliseum. The program didn't need to innovate because the customer base had nowhere else to go. Then the market corrected. The NFL returned, flooding the city with 2 professional franchises and saturating the entertainment dollar. Suddenly, USC wasn't the only show in town. They were just an expensive, underperforming legacy asset. The Pete Carroll premium didn't just evaporate, it was exposed as a relic. By the time Lincoln Riley arrived, the rot was structural. In 2022, despite having Caleb Williams, a Heisman-winning asset, the defense allowed 34.4 points per game. In corporate terms, the product was broken, but the marketing was still excellent. This is the classic lifestyle brand trap. Much like the Indiana basketball school case study, USC had become a destination for the status of being an athlete rather than a high-performance football operation. The culture prioritized the Hollywood aesthetic over the grind required to win. They were selling a premium logo with discount performance, and the market noticed. The administration failed to realize that in a saturated market, brand loyalty has an expiration date. When the Rams won the Super Bowl in their backyard, USC's value proposition plummeted. They were no longer the biggest fish. They were just another option in a crowded entertainment portfolio. This operational failure was most visible in their initial NIL strategy. When the economy changed, USC tried to control the market internally with an agency called the BLVD. It was a massive strategic error. They hesitated to embrace third-party collectives, fearing loss of control, effectively leaving them insolvent in the talent acquisition market. While other programs were liquidating cash to buy rosters, USC was trying to pay players with compliance meetings. The BLVD collapsed, and the talent pipeline dried up. The administration finally realized the hard truth. The monopoly was dead, and they couldn't just coach their way out of this deficit. To survive, they would have to buy their way out. Jennifer Cohen didn't enter the athletic department to balance a spreadsheet. She arrived to execute a hostile takeover of the university's antiquated philosophy. The strategy shifted overnight from sustain the legacy to modernize at any cost. The headline figure is staggering: a $200 million allocation for the Bloom Football Performance Center alone, the centerpiece of a broader $500 million facility overhaul. For a decade, USC relied on the nostalgia of the Coliseum to close deals. Cohen realized that in the modern market, nostalgia is a depreciating asset. Top-tier recruits don't care about Reggie Bush's vacated trophies. They care about cryotherapy chambers, recovery labs, and elite performance data. USC is finally building the physical plant to match that demand. To contextualize this gamble, consider the corporate pivot of Microsoft under Satya Nadella. When Nadella took over, he shifted the company's entire weight away from its cash cow, Windows, and burned billions building the Azure cloud infrastructure. Wall Street was skeptical of the expenditure, but Nadella understood that without that infrastructure, the company would become obsolete. USC is currently in its Azure phase. They are willingly burning hundreds of millions in short-term capital to construct a long-term competitive moat. This philosophy forced a radical correction in their NIL operations. The administration abandoned their hesitation and went all in on House of Victory, a move that tripled the football-specific NIL budget in a single fiscal year. Crucially, this wasn't just about volume, it was about corporate efficiency. They forced the consolidation of competing booster interests, the Tommy Group and Conquest, into a streamlined machine. Instead of rogue donors bidding against each other, USC created a centralized payroll department capable of executing complex contracts. Funding this level of cash burn required new revenue engines. The department secured a massive 15-year multimedia partnership with Learfield to monetize the LA market properly. Simultaneously, the Big Ten transition wasn't just about better competition, it was a liquidity event. The conference's media rights deal provides the necessary cash flow to support the upcoming $20.5 million revenue sharing cap. They essentially mortgaged the travel headaches of the Big Ten against the financial solvency of the program. The premium acquisition strategy extended to human capital. Recognizing that a bad defense was a liability on their brand valuation, they stopped looking for bargains. They paid top-of-market rates to poach defensive coordinator Daton Lin from UCLA, treating the hire with the financial gravity of signing a free agent. This same valuation logic applied to the quarterback room. In the modern era, the quarterback is the most expensive employee on the roster. USC's model shifted to ensure they could meet the market rate for elite signal callers, understanding that a discount quarterback yields a discount product. They are no longer budgeting for a student activity. They are capitalizing a mid-market NFL franchise. Capital builds the factory, but you still need a new operating system to run it. Capital builds the factory, but you still need a new operating system to run it. To manage this massive influx of resources, the administration realized they couldn't rely on a traditional coaching model. They installed a true NFL front office structure. This began with the strategic hiring of General Manager Chad Bowden and a rapid expansion of the personnel department. This shift fundamentally changes how the roster is constructed. It moves the responsibility of talent acquisition away from overworked position coaches and places it into the hands of full-time executives who manage the roster like a salary-capped franchise. This new management team executed an immediate strategic pivot in talent acquisition. For 3 years, USC relied on portal reliance, essentially paying a premium for free agents to patch holes. It was the corporate equivalent of hiring expensive consultants to fix deep structural problems. It provided a quick fix but left the organizational culture hollow and the depth chart thin. The new operating system prioritizes high school dominance. They are treating high school recruits as long-term R&D assets, realizing that sustainable monopolies are built on homegrown talent who buy into the company culture early, not mercenaries looking for a one-year payout. The cornerstone of this strategy is the California bet. The 2026 recruiting class currently ranks number 1 nationally, with a staggering 63% of commits coming from California. This is a hostile move to re-establish their local monopoly. By locking down the West Coast supply chain, they are increasing the acquisition costs for rivals like Oregon and Georgia, forcing them to spend more to recruit elsewhere. This strategy is particularly vital for the quarterback position, a premium asset class that California historically produces at a higher rate than any other region. If you control the local talent, you control the market. But there is a massive contrarian bear case looming over this restructuring. The university is reportedly running a $200 million deficit for FY 2025. This financial strain is forcing layoffs across the athletic department just to sustain the burn rate of the football program. They are cutting support staff to feed the revenue engine, operating like a tech startup burning cash to capture market share. This deficit is exacerbated by the logistical nightmare of the Big Ten move, which has skyrocketed travel costs. It is a high-risk leverage play. The pressure for immediate return on investment is suffocating. With a projected win total of just 7.5 for 2025, the gap between financial input and on-field output is at a historical high. In any other industry, a $500 million investment yielding a mediocre product would trigger a shareholder revolt. Yet Riley argues the scoreboard is a lagging indicator. He points to the blue chip ratio, the accumulation of 4- and 5-star recruits, as the leading indicator of future stock value. History dictates that you cannot win a national title without a ratio above 50%. Riley is betting that talent accumulation is the only metric that matters for future valuation. He is stockpiling assets while the balance sheet bleeds red, gambling that the talent will eventually balance the books. The infrastructure is built, but the market is becoming impatient. USC is no longer competing against other colleges. They are competing for solvency in a ruthless semi-professional era. The stakes are absolute. If the 2026 class delivers a national title, the $500 million spend will look like a bargain acquisition cost. But if they stumble again, This becomes one of the most expensive failed mergers in sports history. Subscribe to Revenue Racers to see which program goes bankrupt next.